you typically have two servers. You want one to be a primary, one to be a secondary DHCP server. The reason for this is in case one server would fail, at least you still have another server to give you IP addresses. I'm going to try and illustrate that here later on. I have an IP, I have a client where it's already added, and I'm going to try and illustrate, like, if I shut one server down, it's going to show you that it's going to pick up another IP from the other server. And that's the whole purpose of this, is give you high reliability for in the case that you have a server that crashes, or whatever the case may be. As you can see, it's going to give 80% to the main server, which will be this server, the .14 server, and then the other server will be the .15 server, will only have 20%. So as you can see, the start will be 1 to 204 for the first server, and then the second server will be 203 to 254. So let's go next. On the added DHCP server, I'm going to do 1,000 milliseconds. And that way, in case, the main reason for that is you don't want the two DHCP servers fighting over each other to give out the IP address. So that way you have one server that is your primary server, which will be the host server, and then your added server will be your secondary. So the added server, you don't want to have it constantly giving out IP addresses. You only want to use this in case of emergencies, like if, for example, if one server fails. Let's click on next. As you can see, it's going over of what will be configured. And you can see the new exclusion range here. And the new exclusion range for the added server. So pretty simple. And it was a success. So now let's go check on the other server and verify that was done. Let's do a refresh. You can see the scope is there. The exclusion is there. And you have the IP ranges already set up. So now I want to go to the client. And let's just see what IP addresses come up when we do this. Alright, so it gave out the address of .129, which, let's go back and look at the range here of server 3 here, of the address pool. Okay. Let's do a refresh. So as you can see, the exclusion range is 204 to 254. So obviously it's getting the IP address from the let's go back here, the .14 server. Okay, people have been doing some searching here, and I admittedly skipped a step here. I forgot to activate the scope here, so I got to go ahead and activate the scope, and then once the scope is activated, we should be able to see the IP addresses renewed. When that happens, when this is deactivated, I'll say yes. You'll get this blue here icon telling you that and then you'll get this red disabled, which means that the scope is disabled. So you go down here and just activate the scope. Once that's activated, now we have both servers activated, and now both servers should give an IP address. So let me go ahead and pause this real quick, and I'm gonna be right back. Alright, we are back here, folks. So basically, I'm not sure how many of you have experience with VMware or vSphere or anything like that. But basically, there are settings with the network that you can change. I had mistakenly, because I was updating both the servers and my clients to just to get them updated as far as like updates, so they have to have like an outside internet connection. For our purposes here, we don't need that. I had the settings set at in VMware. I had them set to NAT instead of host only. For our purposes here, we should have them set to host only, because we're only trying to deal with the server and the clients here, and not any outside networks. And that's why I was having those issues, and I think that's a good thing to show on here, is to have those issues shown, because maybe someday somebody else will run into the same issue and figure out why am I having these issues, or maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to show that, and so let me go ahead and shut down the other server, like I mentioned before, to test our theory, so we can get a different different IP address here. So let's go ahead and shut that down. Alright, so now only this server is up. So let's go back to the client here. Let's do a release, or excuse me, IP config / release. While we're waiting here, I also want to mention too that now under DHCP server you can now see the correct settings for the DHCP server since I changed the settings in the background. So I wanted to show that as well. Alright, so there we have that done. Let's go IP config /renew. As you can see here, we got the correct server, correct DHCP server, correct IPv4 address. If you come over here to the server here, you can see that it's showing up in the server, and now I know that if one server goes down, then the other server will pick up and give you the correct IP addresses in the correct case if one fails. Again, I want to say that most of my issues today were basically VMware, and just basically I had to turn off DHCP client in the VMware workstation. Once I did that, everything started working fine, working as expected, and so I was able to get everything up and going, and as you can see, it got the proper IP address, proper DHCP server, and everything looks correct now. If you like what you see here, please subscribe and leave any comments below. Thanks for watching.